Hello again, YouTube. I got an extra special beer review for you tonight. This is Rickard's newest offering, Rickard's Blonde. It is, read the side of the can, a German-style Pilsner. This German-style Pilsner is especially crafted with a unique blend of 4 hops, 4, count them 4, for a refreshingly flavorful taste and a clean finish. This is Rickard's newest beers that I've seen since the introduction of Rickard's Dark. They introduced Rickard's Dark back in 2009 to replace that. I gotta say it, I didn't care for Honey Brown, but I like the Dark. They also have, of course, their famous Red, which is, I find, an okay red, and White, which is a half-decent Belgian wit style beer. My favorite is of course, so far is their Dark. I might review that at some point in the future, but it's kind of like a semi-porter. Anyway, this one just came out this week. I saw it in the stores last weekend, and this weekend decided to try and clamor my way to find a can or a bottle of this to review. I managed to find some cans on sale at one of the local liquor stores. So yeah, it was released first in Atlantic Canada here. It's, I believe, planned for a nationwide rollout, but that hasn't been completed as yet. So you heard it first on Maxwell Starr's Beer Reviews. So, how does it rate up against other German-style Pilsners? About to find out. Let's crack her open here. First things first, it's a, well, that's a 500 milliliter can, 473 actually, 5.0 alcohol by volume. Give it a pour here. I've often quoted this, but the typical Pilsner is the Pilsner Urquell, or basically a lighter lager brewed with like noble hops is basically what your typical Pilsner type is. I don't know what hops they used in this beer. I'll have to look it up. I might post that on my review. Color wise, I'd say that it looks a little bit paler than, like, say, Pilsner Urquell. Pilsner Urquell takes on more like a shimmering gold appearance, but this is kind of like, it's still a gold appearance, but I find it's a bit more yellow, a bit more, well, I guess blonde. That head is actually quite impressive. Looking at that head right there, and for what's basically a semi-craft brew made by a macro company that's brewed by Molson, that actually looks quite impressive. If you can see that kind of see that in the camera resolution, I don't know if you can see that. Still getting used to the new camera. It's kind of taking on a pillowy appearance. It's got some like dips and bumps and stuff throughout the head, but that head is actually sticking around. Carbonation wise, there is a fair bit of carbonation coming up through the center of the glass. That actually looks quite nice. So far impressed with its appearance. I gotta say that Rickard's is that so far bang on. Well, let's take a look at the smell. Wow. Perhaps I should have expected this. But the smell's not as pronounced. On just about any other type of Pilsner you have, maybe not Labatt Blue, just about every type of Pilsner you can find out there, right, true Pilsners, have a more pronounced hoppy aroma. They're supposed to have like a pronounced hop aroma, characteristic of the noble hops of like the southern Germany and the Czech Republic, which take on kind of like a almost a semi-metallic coin kind of fading into floral hop. So it's kind of a blend. Yeah. As for this one, there is a subtle, almost metallic hint that you can tell from that, like a definite hop hint from that aroma. But there's the aroma's just not pronounced at all. As for that, well, I'm hoping for more out of the taste, but so far the appearance is bang on. And I gotta say the smell leaves something to be desired. But what matters most at the end of the day is just how darn good it tastes. And if it tastes good, well, that counts for everything. Yeah, as it's starting to evaporate a little bit more, it's starting to pick up a little bit stronger scent, but it's still very faint. It's good to taste. Hmm. It's a tad bit more watery than your typical Pilsner. That bitterness, instead of stinging in the back of the tongue specifically, kind of like has a bitterness that floats throughout the mouth, and it's not a very bitter beer at all. However, just like a Pilsner should be, that hop taste is apparent throughout the mouth. That is predominant of the taste. There are traces of malt, and I gotta say that a little bit of a corn comes out in the aftertaste. It does fade into an aftertaste of corn. It's almost like it starts off like as a bitter beer, then fades into that overpowering sensation you get after you've eaten some corn pops or something. It's got that like corn on the afterbreath. Maybe perhaps a little bit on the bready side, but it gives me a sensation of corn, and that might be if they used like corn syrup or something as an adjunct in this type of beer. However, that's not bad. I'm actually liking that. That's very tolerable. It's got just the right kind of combination, like balance of taste as far as bitterness goes, and that hop taste is very good. Yeah, as long as you're not like a craft brew snob that's, the corn shouldn't exist in any kind of beer, it's not bad. Other beers out there that have called themselves Pilsners in the past, like Molson Old Style or Labatt Blue or something like that, even some German ones, this one's got quite a bit of flavor compared to those. I'd say this one's perhaps not as bitter as the Sam Adams, but I'd say it's just as good. You know what? I'd say that this Rickard's Blonde has given me the run of the money of thinking it's just as good as Rickard's Dark for me. I'm a big fan of both the Pilsner and of the porter styles, and I've got to say that, you know what, Rickard's, for a macro brew, did a pretty good job on this. In fact, it's truer to the style than Rickard's Dark is to its style. It's not exactly like a miracle beer, but hell, would I recommend picking up a 12 of these to try? Certainly. That's delicious. I'm going to give that a 3.5 out of 5 because that's pretty good. You know what? I would certainly get this again. It's nice and crisp and clean too. And leaves just the right amount of stinging hop bitterness in the back of the throat. I like it. I'm Maxwell Starr, and I approve of this beer.